Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moment. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Martial Universe Season 8 Part 27 based on novel. So let's start. Wild and violent fist force gathered into a whirlpool under Ching Yi's fist. Subsequently, a deafening wind-splitting whistle was emitted from it. In fact, even space itself became vaguely distorted due to this fist force. Ching Yi had displayed quite a significant strength the moment he attacked. Such an attack far surpassed the Great Precipice Cave's Huishan. The formidable fist force rapidly grew in Lin Dong's pupils. In the next instant, a resplendent green glow surged out from within his body, and appeared in front of him like lightning. It transformed into a green scale shield that was approximately a feet long. Clang! Ching Yi's fist did not hesitate as it violently smashed into the green shield. A fierce and uncontrolled force exploded, forcibly pushing the shield backwards. Along with the scale shield, the punch flew quickly towards Lin Dong's head. However, the green scale shield suddenly stopped when it was only a foot away from Lin Dong's head. At the same time, that wild and violent force had been completely blocked. A cold glint flashed across Ching Yi's eyes when he saw this scene. The force that was gathered in his palm suddenly gushed out. It was like a sharp arrow as it swiftly penetrated the shield, and directly flew towards Lin Dong's face with a speed that would catch one off guard. Savage and ice-cold green dragon arms spread apart at this moment. With his arms blocking in front of him, Lin Dong took that fearsome attack head-on. After his dragon arms appeared, Lin Dong did not hesitate as his footsteps suddenly advanced forward. His hands, which resembled a pair of dragon claws, thrust forward. Like long sharp spears, his green dragon fingers pierced through the air and directly targeted Ching Yi's fatal spots. Humph! When Ching Yi saw Lin Dong dashing towards him with his powerful physical body, he showed no signs of fear. Instead, his throat emitted a deep snort. Following which, his hands formed seals at lightning speed. Immediately, a heavy deep yellow strength suddenly surged out from within his body. I know that you have learned a high-class body-tempering martial arts. However, I wonder how it would fare against the top body-tempering martial art from my Earth Hall. A rich dense yellow Yuan power wildly penetrated through every pore on Ching Yi's body. In a flash, the latter's skin turned deep yellow, like the color of soil. It gave off a steady and heavy feeling. Earth Yuan mysterious body. A deep voice suddenly emerged from Ching Yi's mouth. In the next instant, the yellow hue rapidly spread all over his body. It caused him to look just like a clay figure. Meanwhile, a faint but extremely ferocious ripple spread outwards. After his body transformed, Ching Yi also took a step forward. Flicking all 10 of his fingers, they transforming into sharp finger shadows that seemingly covered the sky as they directly clashed against Lin Dong's dragon fingers. Bang bang bang. Deep wind-tearing and explosion sounds continuously resounded from the point of contact. Numerous sharp forces leaked out, causing the nearby ground to be riddled with holes, and making it look like a honeycomb. Everyone around the stage was watching this extremely intense battle with excited eyes. The force that spread from the battleground caused them to feel a palpitation in their hearts. They were aware that if they were the ones fighting, even if they defended with all their might, it was likely that their bodies would have been penetrated till it was full of holes. It is a surprise that Ching Yi has actually learnt the strongest body-tempering martial art of the Earth Hall, the Earth Yuan mysterious body, at the Desolate Hall area. Pang Tong and the others wore solemn expressions as they observed this exceptionally intense battle, and could not help but comment. Lin Dong's advantage is his powerful physical body. However, now that Ching Yi has activated the Earth Yuan mysterious body, it is likely that this advantage will be weakened by at least half, Jian Hao spoke in a deep voice. This battle will not be an easy one. Ching Yi truly deserves his title of the top-ranked disciple in the Earth Hall. Junior brother Lin Dong has truly met his match this time. A savage-looking dragon fist and yellow earth-like fist violently tore through the air. In the next instant, they finally collided heavily. Bang! The moment the collision occurred, a shocking muffled sound suddenly resounded across this stage in a deafening manner. A force that was visible to the naked eyes directly swept apart in a circular fashion. The ground swiftly split open as numerous thick cracks formed. Those two fists pulled back the moment they made contact, while the two figures were forced to retreat several steps due to the savage force. Each time their foot landed, a deep print was left on the ground. The air behind them was also shaken until a low and deep explosion sound appeared. The two of them had merely exchanged blows for a split second. However, the ferocity of their fight was something that anyone could see. Should any one of them make a mistake, it was likely that the other party would use that opening to land a decisive blow. In a battle between experts, victory and defeat would often be decided in a single moment. Qingyi licked his lips. The chilliness in his eyes had an additional solemnness. The both of them were basically equally matched in the previous clash. However, it must be noted that Lin Dong was merely at the 6 Yuan Nirvana stage, and there was an extremely huge gap between them. Nonetheless, Lin Dong still did not end up at a disadvantage in their head-on clash. With such capabilities, even Qingyi, who had a personal grudge against him, had no choice but to admit that Lin Dong was rather difficult to deal with. If Lin Dong had the same cultivation level as him, it was likely that the former would emerge victorious. Unfortunately, absolute fairness did not exist in this world. A cluster of deep yellow aura was slowly spat out from Qingyi's mouth. His face, which had turned deep yellow because of the body-tempering martial arts that he had used, surged with a yellow glow at this moment. His hand seals rapidly changed. In the next moment, he suddenly bent his body as his hands heavily slammed onto the ground. The ground trembled the moment Qingyi's hand touched it. It was as though there was an extremely wild and violent fluctuation underneath that was gathering and moving under the surface, appearing just like a ferocious beast lying in wait. This is. Many startled eyes looked at the stage that was trembling intensely. Some of them were clearly aware of what was going on. A moment later, some exclamation sounded out, Earthcore Sky Yuan Hand. This is the strongest offensive martial art of Earth Hall other than the Earth Emperor scripture. It is surprising that Senior Qingyi has mastered it as well. He is indeed deserving to be called the second most outstanding disciple after great senior sister Xiao Xiao. Looks like Lin Dong is in danger this time around. It is difficult to tell. Lin Dong has not used the Great Desolation scripture yet. Hence, it is too early to make a conclusion. That's right. Noisy private conversations spread across the mountain like floodwaters. At this moment, the fight between Lin Dong and Qingyi had undoubtedly become the focal point of the place. Lin Dong similarly sensed that wild and violent ripple from underground. A grave expression flashed across his eyes. Immediately, his figure moved as he leapt into the air. The corners of Qingyi's mouth curled when he saw this. Immediately, he clenched his hand that was touching the ground. Bang! The ground trembled wildly at this moment, and the spot where Lin Dong was standing on earlier swiftly collapsed. Mud and rocks shot out. In the next moment, a majestic deep yellow energy whizzed out, directly gathering the mud and stones, before transforming into an enormous yellow hand. The enormous hand was like a devil's claw that had emerged from the abyss. Together with a monstrous wind, it penetrated through space and directly rushed towards Lin Dong. Lin Dong's eyes were grave as he watched the large hand that was tearing through the ground and charging towards him. His body swiftly pulled back, but the large hand followed closely behind. Incomparably violent energy accompanied by dust permeated the air. The manner in which it overshadowed the sun was extremely spectacular. Lin Dong was just like a tiny bird in the sky, as he continuously dodged the large hand that was swiping at him. Occasionally, there were some narrow misses that caused quite a number of exclamations. I want to see how long you can dodge. A cold glint flashed within Qingyi's eyes as he grabbed forward. One could see dozens of ground yellow lights shoot out from that enormous hand, directly sealing off all of Lin Dong's retreat paths. Lin Dong suddenly stopped in midair. He gazed at the yellow large hand below that appeared to be pouncing at him like a wild beast. A grey line split open on his forehead, as his desolate demon eye once again appeared. Once his demon eye appeared, a monstrous grey glow rapidly extended across the sky. The space behind Lin Dong became distorted, as an incomparably large Huang beast, which carried an ancient aura, slowly appeared. Desolate chi enveloped the area. The kind of desolation that settled over time caused the hearts of quite a number of people to quicken. Desolate Demon Eye? Junior Lin Dong has actually practiced it to the level that he can summon the Huang spirit. As they gazed at the enormous Huang beast, the Desolate Hall disciples, who were not foreign to it, immediately exclaimed. Their faces were filled with emotion and excitement. Lin Dong stood on the Huang beast. His eyes looked coldly at the large yellow hand that was whistling over. Meanwhile, the tightly shut eye of the Huang beast also slowly opened up. Immediately, the surrounding Yuan power suddenly boiled. Below them, Wang Yang, who had been recuperating with his eyes shut ever since he finished his match, finally opened them the moment the Huang beast appeared. Surprise flashed across his numb and indifferent eyes. To have successfully learnt the Desolate Demon Eye. The single eye of the Huang beast finally opened at this moment. Next, it was as if the entire world had darkened. A grey light beam that contained an extremely terrifying destructive force was just like the death god's scythe. Under the watch of countless fiery hot eyes, it tore through the sky and smashed into the fearsome large yellow hand. A tremendous earth-shaking sound boomed like thunder across the sky. It appeared as though the sky had darkened in an instant. The berserk grey light and yellow glow were accompanied by extremely terrifying fluctuations, each occupying one half of the sky. On the mountaintop, numerous Dao sect disciples watched the violent surging fluctuations in the sky with shocked expressions. This collision was truly frightening. Ying Xiaoxiao and Ying Huan's eyes were locked onto the sky, while a grave expression fleeted across their eyes. Clearly, the ferocity of the fight between Lin Dong and Qing Yi had exceeded their expectations. As expected of the Desolate Demon Eye? Wang Yang raised his head. He stared at the two colors that were wildly sweeping across the sky. His indifferent eyes narrowed as he muttered to himself. Bang! The moment Wang Yang's voice sounded, the stalemate in the sky was suddenly broken. The grey light crazily eroded downwards as a terrifying destructive force was unleashed without restraint. Numerous cracks slowly appeared on the large yellow hand. Finally, it emitted a loud bang and exploded into dust. The large yellow hand crumbled while the thick grey light beam in the sky also split apart. Immediately, it came pouring down onto Qing Yi like a storm. Qing Yi's expression was a little grim when he saw his giant hand being destroyed by Lin Dong's Desolate Demon Eye. His foot suddenly stomped on the ground. Deep yellow Yuan power wheezed out from within his body. It directly formed an incomparably thick yellow ground shield. Grey light rays rained down on his ground shield like a storm. Immediately, it struck the shield until it was full of holes. However, the grey light could not completely destroy it. Though Lin Dong's Desolate Demon Eye clearly gained the upper hand in the previous exchange, the remnant force was unable to hurt Qing Yi. After all, Qing Yi was the top disciple of the Earth Hall and was no ordinary individual. Hence, it was not going to be easy for Lin Dong to defeat him. Yellow dust that permeated the air and the grey light gradually scattered. Lin Dong floated in the sky as the Huang beast under his feet once again disappeared after having unleashed that powerful attack. Lin Dong lowered his head and looked down at Qing Yi, who did not suffer much damage thanks to the protection of his ground shield. Promptly, he frowned a little. It seemed like dealing with the latter was going to much harder than he had expected. The ground shield collapsed, transforming into yellow sand that drifted down in front of Qing Yi, as he also slowly raised his head. His eyes were sharp as he stared back at Lin Dong. The two faced off for a moment, before Qing Yi suddenly inhaled a deep breath of air. After which, he directly sat down in front of the crowd. Two deep yellow hands extended from Qing Yi's sleeves. Subsequently, his 10 fingers gently tapped against each other. Fresh bright red blood immediately oozed out from the tips of his fingers. After which, his fingers danced and formed numerous strange blood symbols in front of him. Following which, those blood symbols scattered before they landed onto the ground and disappeared in a peculiar fashion. Qing Yi is about to unleash the Earth Emperor scripture. Ying Xiaoxiao, who had been observing Qing Yi's actions, suddenly raised her brows as she softly commented. Beside her, Ying Huan's heart tightened when she heard this. She clearly knew that the Earth Emperor scripture was Qing Yi's most powerful technique. It was evident that Qing Yi was intending to use it to decide the victor. The originally noisy surroundings abruptly became much quieter when Qing Yi started this peculiar act. Some people appeared to have realized it as well. Immediately, an unusually fiery hot expression surged within their eyes. The four great mysterious scriptures were martial arts that most disciples could only pine for. However, few could successfully learn them. Hence, they really wanted to observe with their own eyes just how powerful the four great mysterious scriptures were. After numerous blood symbols entered the ground and disappeared, the entire arena appeared to be dyed in a faint dark red glow. A rumbling sound could vaguely be heard from under the ground. Hovering in air, Lin Dong knitted his brows and looked at the mysterious ground beneath him. A glint flashed across his eyes as he promptly flicked his finger. Immediately, a sharp force directly shot towards Qing Yi. However, when the force was around 10 feet away from Qing Yi, a deep yellow light tinged with a small trace of red appeared around Qing Yi and easily blocked the force. Lin Dong, you are indeed shockingly talented. If you continue to train in the Dao sect for another 1 to 2 years, it is likely that no younger generation member will be able to suppress you. However, that is not the case now. Qing Yi's fingers, which were dyed red by fresh blood, curled slightly. Promptly, his eyes shifted upwards while a deep yellow luster surged within them. There was a proud expression on his face when he stared at Lin Dong. That was because he possessed utmost confidence in the Earth Emperor scripture that he had learnt. This time around, it is likely that your journey will have to pause for a while. A ruthless expression surged onto Qing Yi's face. After which, his 10 fingers suddenly formed numerous dazzling seals. As his hand seals rapidly changed, the ground itself began to tremble as though an earthquake had occurred. Earth Emperor Scripture, Earth Dragon Divine Sealing Palm. A somewhat raspy voice was emitted from Qing Yi's mouth in a low and deep tone. The transforming seals also stopped at this moment. The ground shook in an increasingly wild and violent manner. Everyone could clearly sense that there seemed to be something moving swiftly beneath the ground. The origin of this movement was the area where Qing Yi was located. Lin Dong's pupils also shrunk when he observed the ground below. With his mental energy perception, he could sense a surging energy gathering from all directions underground. Is this the power of the Earth Emperor scripture? Lin Dong gently exhaled as his eyes hardened. The instant Lin Dong exhaled, the ground below the stage suddenly collapsed. Over a dozen yellow mud flows that were mixed with a scarlet color broke out from the ground like lava erupting from a volcano. Immediately, they crisscrossed each other in the sky. It was as if a dozen mud dragons were dancing around Lin Dong. The frightening undulations sealed off all of Lin Dong's retreat paths. Seal. The earth dragons danced wildly in the sky, while Qing Yi's eyes turned increasingly stern. In the next instant, the dragons ruthlessly charged towards Lin Dong. Yuan power circulated wildly within Lin Dong's body when he saw this. However, just when he thought that those earth dragons were about to strike him, they ended up colliding into each other instead. Bang bang. A low and deep sound spread. The shock within Lin Dong's eyes merely lasted for a moment, before he saw that the mud mixed with a deep yellow glow agglomerate around him. Soon after, it transformed into an enormous yellow sphere that completely trapped him within. The blood glow on the surface of the sphere gathered together after the sphere took shape. After which, they transformed into numerous strange blood symbols. Those symbols emitted a strange energy that continuously eroded Lin Dong's Yuan power. The arena surroundings was completely silent at this moment. Everyone gazed at the yellow sphere that had trapped Lin Dong within in shock. They could sense a frightening fluctuation contained within the sphere that appeared to be a seal. If one was trapped within, it was likely that one would be unable to escape. Lin Dong, you have lost. Once you are trapped by the Earth Dragon Divine Sealing Palm, your Yuan power will become ineffective. Once you lose the support of your Yuan power, it is impossible for you to break the seal. Qing Yi suddenly raised his head. He looked at the earth sphere in the sky before speaking in an indifferent voice. Once Qing Yi's voice sounded out, commotion erupted outside of the arena while the expressions of the Desolate Hall disciples turned ugly. Was it simply going to end like this? Pang Tong, Jian Hao and the rest also had solemn expressions as worry flashed across their eyes. However, they did not panic like the rest. The divine seal is indeed extremely troublesome to deal with. If one ends up trapped by it, one's Yuan power will become ineffective. This is undoubtedly equivalent to crippling one's limbs for most individuals. Lin Dong is in deep trouble. It is likely that he won't even have the opportunity to use the Great Desolation scripture. Ying Xiaoxiao looked at the earth sphere plastered with blood symbols, before she slowly said. Ying Huan bit her lips. Soon after, she laughed in a helpless and bitter manner. The typically cautious fellow had actually made a mistake. At a short distance away, Wang Yang stared intently at the earth sphere in the sky. A moment later, his body suddenly straightened a little, while a sharp eagle-like glint gathered in his numb eyes. It was an instinctive reflex that would only appear when he sensed danger. Trapped within the earth sphere, Lin Dong chose to gently shut his eyes. Right now, the Yuan power circulation within his body had slowed down significantly. It was likely due to the suppressive effects of the seal. My power is not limited to Yuan power. Lin Dong's fists slowly tightened as he muttered to himself. Soon after, a dense green glow suddenly surged on the surface of his body. The heavenly dragon aura that lingered in his dantian suddenly exploded at this moment. Finally, it gushed out like floodwater and flowed into Lin Dong's limbs. A low and deep dragon roar sounded out from within Lin Dong's body. Within the dark sphere, Lin Dong's tightly shut eyes suddenly opened. His dark black pupils had turned completely green, and it looked as if there was a green dragon swimming deep within his eyes. In this moment, his green heaven-materialized dragon skill had once again evolved. Countless pairs of eyes were directed to the sky, where an enormous blood seal earth sphere was floating. Wave after wave of extremely frightening fluctuations continuously scattered from the earth sphere, causing one's heart to tremble. The atmosphere around the stage was somewhat quiet, while many people looked to each other. Based on the scene in front of them, it seemed as if Lin Dong had lost. Junior brother Lin Dong, if you admit defeat now, I will let you out. However, if you continue to resist, not only will you fail to change the final outcome, it will only hurt you further. Qing Yi stared at his earth sphere, while his indifferent voice reverberated over the area. However, the earth sphere remained silent after Qing Yi spoke. There was no reply at all. In that case, do not blame me for forcing you to admit defeat. Qing Yi's eyes darkened a little when he saw this. Promptly, he extended his hand. Just as he was about to clench his fist, the earth sphere hovering in the sky suddenly shook intensely. A low and deep muffled sound echoed from within. This sudden and unexpected change caused Qing Yi to frown slightly. He spoke in a cold voice, "Are you still unwilling to admit defeat even until now?" Bang! Another low and deep muffled sound was emitted from within the earth sphere. The round surface of the sphere appeared to vaguely protrude a little. Humph! Qing Yi's expression darkened slightly, while his eyes flickered for a moment. For some unknown reason, unease gushed out from within his heart. Immediately, he stepped forward, as his hand pointed at the earth ball and viciously clenched it. When Qing Yi clenched his hand, the blood symbols on the earth ball immediately spread apart like a spider web. Numerous blood lines firmly wrapped the earth sphere like a web. Bang! 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 However, after Qing Yi completed these steps, the low and muffled sound from within the earth sphere did not weaken. Instead, it became increasingly stronger and hurried. The sound seemingly had the magical ability to stir one's heart, causing the faces of quite a number of people to turn pale. Qing Yi's expression was somewhat dark and gloomy when he saw this scene. Clearly, the situation had not unfolded the way he had expected. Something is wrong. Ying Xiaoxiao's expression was also a little grave as she stared at the earth sphere that was trembling continuously in the sky. There was an additional trace of surprise in her voice. Ying Huan similarly felt that something was not quite right. Her large eyes stared intently at the sky. Some anxiety was present within her eyes. Bang bang! The low and deep sounds from within the blood seal earth sphere became increasingly hurried. It shook the entire earth sphere until the sphere started to tremble violently. The blood symbols on the surface of the earth ball also quietly dimmed because of this commotion. The unusual scene in the sky was being sensed by an increasing number of people. Immediately, low exclamations sounded out continuously and quite a number of disciples stood up. Their eyes were shocked as they watched this change. Dong! Another extremely fierce muffled sound appeared. Some sharper individuals saw a crack appear on the surface of the Earth sphere. Senior Brother Qing Yi's Earth Dragon Divine Sealing Palm is actually unable to seal Lin Dong. Shock involuntarily surfaced within the eyes of some Dao sect disciples when they saw a crack appear. They truly did not know how Lin Dong was able to break the Earth Dragon Divine Sealing Palm when his Yuan power was being suppressed. Qing Yi's expression turned exceptionally grim at this moment. The rate at which his hand seal changed increased in an attempt to control the blood-colored symbols and stabilize the seal. Bang! However, his attempts at salvaging the situation did not have much of an impact. As the low and deep sound continuously sounded out, the cracks on the Earth sphere also began to spread rapidly. Finally, they spread across the entire Earth sphere, making it look like a porcelain ball that was about to burst. Cracks spread rapidly. In the end, green light suddenly appeared, shooting out from within the cracks, like the sharp spikes of a hedgehog covering the Earth sphere. The seal is about to break. Several onlookers' eyelids twitched rapidly upon seeing this scene. Their eyes were filled with a rich disbelief. Cries of shock rang out as the green lights that erupted from the Earth sphere abruptly reached their peak. After which, like an erupting volcano that had been suppressed for a long time, the green light exploded. Bang! A thunderous sound rumbled and spread across the sky. After which, everyone watched as the Earth sphere was finally completely blasted to pieces. Everyone's attention was focused on the spot where the green light gathered. A human figure became increasingly clear as the green light vanished. Finally, it clearly appeared under everyone's gazes. When that figure gradually became clear, a series of gasps sounded out across the entire mountaintop. Green light gathered in the sky. A figure, which was twice as large as before, slowly walked out. This figure was naturally Lin Dong, who had broken free from the seal. However, this time around, in addition to his two green dragon arms, the surface of his body was also covered by green scales. Of course, the most eye-catching part was the pair of extremely large green dragon wings on his back. The dragon wings were several feet long and were covered in green scales. A sharp bone extended from the edge of each wing, while an intensely cold light faintly flashed on its surface. The dragon wings gently spread apart. With a gentle flap, violent gales gathered as a piercing wind sound continuously sounded out. Lin Dong's present appearance could be described as powerful and fearsome. As he spread the pair of green dragon wings on his back, it looked as if an ancient dragon had descended. Lin Dong had been practicing the green heaven materialized dragon skill for quite some time. As his physical body grew increasingly powerful, the amount of heaven dragon aura that he could absorb also increased. This allowed more and more parts of his body to turn into that of a dragon. Currently, dragon wings had appeared and this was undoubtedly a joyous occasion for Lin Dong. Qing Yi looked at Lin Dong, whose body had become much larger, as panic flashed across his eyes. This unexpected development had totally left him dumbfounded. After all, he had never imagined that he would be unable to defeat Lin Dong even after using such a powerful killing move. While Qing Yi's expression was changing in a volatile manner, Lin Dong slowly lowered his head. Green light lingered in his eyes as they locked onto the former. The green dragon wings on Lin Dong's back flapped gently. An afterimage remained in the sky while Lin Dong's body strangely disappeared. Fast! Qing Yi's pupils abruptly tightened, while his expression became extremely ugly. He had been unable to sense how Lin Dong had disappeared. It seemed like the latter was much faster than before. Qing Yi's eyes flashed. However, he was still someone with ample experience. In the next moment, he suddenly sensed a slight ripple from his left. Immediately, his hand seals changed. Vigorous Yuan power surged out and transformed into an extremely thick yellow earth shield on his left. The earth shield that was agglomerated from Yuan power had just taken shape when Qing Yi saw a shadow appear from the corner of his eyes. However, just as he was about to sigh in relief, he saw a cold arc on Lin Dong's face. Immediately, Lin Dong's figure emitted a swoosh sound as he disappeared again. The instant Lin Dong disappeared, the corners of Qing Yi's eyes darted. Immediately, he saw a fist that was covered by green dragon scales. It was accompanied by an extremely wild and violent force as it tore through the air from another angle and violently punched towards him. In that split second, Lin Dong relied on his phantom-like speed to change the direction of his attack, causing Qing Yi's defenses to be rendered completely useless. Earth Emperor armor. However, just as Lin Dong's fist was about to land on Qing Yi's body, a yellow glow flashed from within it, and an ancient-looking armor suddenly appeared. The rather powerful ripple it gave off indicated that it was a heavenly soul treasure. Bang! Lin Dong's dragon fist landed ruthlessly on the armor as a low and deep sound echoed forth. Immediately, the ground where they were at exploded, as numerous cracks spread out at lightning-like speed. A frightening strength wildly poured onto Qing Yi's body. Even with the protection of his Earth Emperor armor, he was still forced to retreat over a dozen steps due to this single punch from Lin Dong. Promptly, a muffled voice emerged from his throat. Earthcore Heavenly Yuan Hand. Qing Yi's expression turned red after being forced back. Promptly, his hand suddenly pressed onto the ground. A large deep yellow hand broke out from the cracked ground. It was accompanied by an increasingly violent force as it furiously swatted at Lin Dong. When Lin Dong saw the large hand that rapidly magnified in his eyes, he did not retreat at all. His foot stomped onto the ground as his body shot forward explosively. When they were about to make contact, his right leg suddenly swelled and transformed into a large green dragon foot, which kicked out like a whip. His leg had barely left the ground, but the ground beneath had already split open, leaving behind a deep crack that was a dozen feet long. Bang! Green light overflowed from Lin Dong's dragon leg, and it seemed as if a faint dragon roar was emitted from within the green light. Soon after, his leg viciously landed on the giant deep yellow hand. A terrifying strength poured out, directly destroying the giant deep yellow hand. Qing Yi's expression changed drastically when he saw this scene, and he once again retreated rapidly. However, his body was just about to retreat when Lin Dong appeared in front of him like a ghost. With a cold look in his eyes, the frightening green dragon leg drew numerous afterimages that landed on Qing Yi's body. Bang! Qing Yi's body flew backwards in front of countless pairs of eyes. The Earth Emperor armor on his body also disappeared after flickering a few times. Boom! In the end, Qing Yi's body sourly landed outside of the stage. His body smashed into the ground, causing a low and deep sound. This caused the eyes of quite a number of people to twitch rapidly. Meanwhile, his face was also filled with rich disbelief. Out of bounds. Defeat. Lin Dong's direct and efficient fighting method had completely obliterated Qing Yi's defenses and attacks in a few rounds. It was relatively quiet on the mountain top. Countless pairs of eyes were gathered on the figure atop the stage. A respectful expression gradually climbed out from within their eyes. Soon after, a thunderous cheer suddenly resounded across the skies above the mountaintop. The fight between the strongest disciples from two different halls had finally concluded. This video will end here.